Hello everyone! Today I have what I think is a very interesting video. I wanted to talk about the amazing monsters in Dragon's Dogma 2. What I have to say about a monster could range from some interesting trivia, inspiration, or an in-game fact about them. I've been wanting to talk about them for some time, but I needed time to find some interesting tidbits to create a worthwhile video. And I'm excited to finally have enough. So grab some delicious Cyclops loin and a bowl of Nutriab, because we're getting started. And fittingly, Cyclope are first on the chopping block. Have you ever wondered how the Cyclops' design was created? I mean, it has tusks, seems kind of out of place. Well, the design of Cyclops actually has a real-world explanation. Way back in the day, the skull of an elephant was discovered by Greek expeditioners. Before, there were documents of any elephant anatomy readily available. So the skull, with a large opening in the center, was mistakenly took as an eye socket. They came to the conclusion that it must belong to a race of giant, one-eyed beasts, and thus the Cyclops was born, and later used in the Dragon's Dogma video game. This one is a helpful tip for newer players, and it has to do with the mystifying Griffin, or annoying Griffin, depending on whether or not you're on a cable platform. In Greek mythology, the Griffin is attracted to shiny objects, and a lot of treasure tends to be shiny. So you'll end up finding loads of treasure in the nest of a Griffin. And secondly, Griffins actually don't travel at night in-game. So if a Griffin has been hampering your travels, it may be best to set out after dark. The Medusa is a new enemy in Dragon's Dogma 2, and is the first enemy with a completely unique equipable item, the Medusa head. It does what you'd expect, and the way it's used mirrors the way Perseus uses the head in mythology. And speaking of mirrors, the shield found in Vernworth's vault also is a reference to this story, as Perseus also uses a reflective shield. I really love all the Greek inspiration in this game. The humble Goblin, a red, devilish-looking monster. These creatures are seemingly just normal monsters, but are actually more related to plants than any animal. To be more specific, they are tree root spirits. And apparently, there are no female goblins, only male. And reproduction is made in a creepy way. They will acquire human blood by means, and then perform a ritual underground. A new goblin will sprout from the roots of this underground ritual chamber thereafter. This isn't really a fact or proven or anything like that, but does anyone else see Nue from Jujutsu Kaisen when you look at the gore Harpies? They're about the same size and shape and both stun enemies. Highly doubt it was a direct influence, but I just can't help but see it. Do you feel the same? This is something I've only seen happen 2 times. Once randomly and once while getting footage for this video. When fighting a golem, this strategy could help a lot, but the golem's head is actually able to be detached. After going into rage mode and firing lasers randomly, the golem will then go on cooldown and release steam. Then, with the help of your pawns, push or pull on its legs to knock it over. The head will detach after the golem falls. The laser still functions, the exact same as when it's on its head, and the golem can no longer shoot lasers directly at you, so it can really be helpful when fighting these guys. Because let's be honest, they're probably one of the stronger enemies, and even me, at level 73, still has a hard time fighting them when they go into rage mode. It really hits harder than it probably should. Okay, I hate to be that guy. The guy that points out minor things and feels the need to correct them, but I have to. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be obvious, but drakes aren't really drakes by standard definition. Drakes in mythology are basically wingless dragons, but drakes clearly have wings in game, and this would make them dragons as well. Not very exciting, but there's bound to be one person in the world who may not know the difference, so I thought I should add it. The Dullahan is a powerful undead. Just by looking at one, you can see the resemblance to the classic headless horseman. So why isn't the Dullahan just called Headless Horseman? Well, the answer might lie in the lack of horses in Dragon's Dogma, funnily enough. So they had to go with the less known name, Dullahan. But I have to admit, it sounds so much cooler. Could you imagine the headless oxman though? While battling the beast from the brine in the unmoored world, one may stand out above the rest, and it may not be clear as to why it's there. And that would be the worm. Worm with a Y. This legless, wingless creature might actually be an Ouroboros, the serpent that devours its own tail, or meant to stand in as one. By definition, an Ouroboros can be either a snake or dragon, and in my opinion there couldn't possibly be a better representation of the Dragon's Dogma story. A never-ending cycle, doomed to repeat itself for eternity. And defeating one in the unmoored world is as fitting as it is given the context of the story at that point. And finally, a bit of a surprise to me, and I hope you as well. It's going to be posed as a question. Do you remember the Minotaur from Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen? If you're like me, then you remember the Minotaur wielding a large hammer and being quite menacing. Well, as it turns out, that wasn't a Minotaur at all. And the Minotaur only recently made its debut with the launch of Dragon's Dogma 2. Or maybe it was in online as well. Mainline only, I guess. Apparently the so-called Minotaur in Dark Arisen is actually just a large undead with a metal bull helmet. And he's been cosplaying as a Minotaur all this time. And with that, we close out another video. I had a lot of fun with this one, because to me, the monsters play a huge part in why this game is so awesome. They add more than just a challenge or set dressing. They make the journey feel daunting. You never know what you're going to face or what situation these creatures will put you in. And I can't really ask for more in terms of enemies. Leave a comment on what your favorite monster is and any fun fights you've had with them. Personally, my favorite enemy has to be the Ogre or Minotaur. They are just fast-paced and fun enemies to fell. They add a lot of dynamic fights to this game, and I always have to stop and kill them. Sadly, I guess. But that is going to do it for now.
Bye-bye.